He hit record. Then he hit share screen. Then he
And
made sure he
then-
clicked here, share sound. And then he hit play. And then he went here and did this.
Bring me everyone. What do you mean, everyone?
Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. Doesn't matter what kind of Lemon Champ or Lucky Track Dog league you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussions, tips, tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of amateur endurance racing. And whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock. This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
And I'm mental. And when Chris reads the intro, it ends a lot sooner. And I'm the one that made that video, and I should know that. Music kept going.
Do I just talk more quickly? Is that what it was?
I think it's how I edit it, because to try and
Mm.
get like where we all talk, I've broken it up into segments and I'm trying to spread it out. Point being is I'm a terrible editor.
I
So-
know.
Oh, you're
It's
better than we are,
great.
which
It's
is,
wonderful.
yeah.
The worst part is that video too, is I keep seeing the picture of my old 928, one of the old 928s, and there is a track prepped one here for sale in Las Vegas. It just dropped down to $4,500. It runs and has a title.
But remember how the other ones tried to kill you?
I know.
Also,
I know.
remember the subject of our episode like 3 weeks ago?
I
2 weeks
know.
ago?
And
Okay.
I'm
Already
just
forgot. It's
verbalizing
fine.
the temptation
Yeah.
of a track
Okay.
prepped 928
Okay.
that I know will blow up and or try to murder me. Yes.
We appreciate you bringing this to your friends who can give you honest feedback and can help you make
And
a
honestly, mental, you're an idiot if you buy that car.
I mean, you've done a lot of stupid stuff. But that
Okay, intro,
yeah,
go.
sorry. Hey, and we are Everyone Racers. Thanks for joining us for a Chevy 327 episode. The Chevrolet 327 cubic inch V8 originated with the small block family of engines that first appeared in 1955 with a 265 cubic inch power plant. During its 8 years of production, the potent 327 engine became known among small block aficionados as a mighty mouse of a motor that was extremely compact and efficient. Although most examples of the 327 were carbureted, some of the early Corvettes came equipped with a fuel injection and made more horsepower. So if you're not driving your Chevy Mighty Mouse, get out your bingo card.
I'm working on the bingo card.
Ooh,
So, yes, I
great.
have been. So, if you have ideas, let us know, because I'm going through the old one and that's good. That one's old. Okay, that's
Yep.
fine. But as listeners, I feel like you will probably come up with things better and notice things differently than we will, because we're on the show and you're listening to it. So, text mental if you come up with some good ideas
Or
for a bingo card.
Anything, any of our social
Oh,
media.
sure. But
Yes.
yeah, just writing in a whole email seems excessive. So if you've
Oh,
got
yeah,
a good
no, but
idea,
Comment on the YouTube.
Oh,
or,
sure. Yeah, yeah,
straight
yeah,
up. Or
right.
if you've got like my real phone number, text me. Or we've gotten, I think, was it one of the suggestions did come on the YouTube channel?
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it, but of course it's one of those things I feel like we'll probably do a better job of, like, oh, that happened, and we'll add it. So when I'm actually just sitting here looking at a list of things, I'm like, yeah, I can pick off old ones and I can come up with some new ones, but still, I think outsider knowledge.
Yeah.
Would be
Maybe
helpful for this one.
mental contemplates another terrible Porsche should go on there.
I think that's on there already.
Actually, just contemplating a Porsche, because really all of
think-
us.
I think poor decision is on there. I think mental has a poor
Porsche.
decision.
Porsche decision.
Porsche decision, yes. All the above. I think that might already be on there. So new bingo card is coming. I'm working on it actively.
Awesome.
Okay. What you
And
working on?
in 1968 on the Bel Air 327, the timing would be 4 degrees before top dead center. It's a movie you haven't seen called My Cousin Vinny.
I
It's
have
fine.
no. I've heard of it,
Yes.
but I have not seen it.
Marissa Tomei got an Academy Award for that.
I have a lot more to do than just to watch that.
Fair enough.
Mental, what you working on?
As mentioned, it is exercise prep that has started this week. So it is the beginning of our
Oh,
busy
you had,
/
like-
birthday season and all of that other kind of
Oh.
crap going on there. So yeah, next week is yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, we talked about that one. As I posted in our Slack channel, and there'll be a video, ideally shortcoming. The Omega is now on ground. It is sitting on the ground. Yes, it is
Can it
back at a
drive?
storage spot. Oh God, no. That is
Did it get the bends from the altitude change after so long?
a little bit. It did actually,
Oh,
like
just a
the
little
tires had
dizzy
actually
now.
deflated. So I had
Oh.
to like air those up, and they were garbage tires. They were just put on there to be rollers, but to get it off the trailer, I had to air them all up first.
I'm
That
not
was,
surprised.
it was interesting on that one. And so now that the Omega is on the ground in a storage spot, that meant that there was a trailer I needed to get rid of. And that happened so much faster than I thought it would. I actually posted the ad where I used the phrase sketchy AF, and it was sold within the hour of me posting it. I had 12 people actually interested in it, including one scammer whose Facebook profile had existed for 20 minutes and offered to pay me on this app on your cell phone. Can we take this to our
Ooh.
cell? No, we cannot take this conversation to our cell phone. You can get bent. Kid drove up from Coachella. It's like a 4-hour drive.
Why?
Looked, because he really wanted the trailer,
Why?
handed me the money for the trailer, and then plugged in the lights worked. I don't know if there ever were turn signals on this trailer. I never cared. And
Because
I
you
said,
drove
hey,
it home in the dark after.
exactly. But well, the tail lights on the RV are way up high, so people could. I mean, if I was turning, it was obvious. So he rewires the trailer in my driveway at 11 o'clock last night. I felt terrible. I went and got like a space heater for him and kind of put it on there. He rewires the whole thing. Then none of the lights worked.
Oh, well, that's
So
on
he-
you.
So he went
That's-
back. He went back to the original wiring and said, "It's a straight drive." And I tell you that to tell you this. It was 33 degrees last night. So this poor kid, and he got off work, drove straight here from Coachella, like 5 hours, rolled out of here at 11:15, had to be at work at 7 a.m. this morning. Do you remember when you had that kind of energy?
No.
It existed.
Yeah, but I didn't even I wouldn't do something that stupid. I'd be like, no, I'm not going to make that.
I would. I also
I've never
wouldn't
been
buy
bad
a
on-
moon trailer.
Yeah.
Duh. I
also
would have
true.
stopped there. Don't buy moon trailer.
It was a cheap enough moon trailer. So yeah, that was
Well, congratulations on the sale. Did you ever tell the internet that?
I did. I posted it today on the Insta. And
Okay.
and there were some comments on the, there's a
Because the Facebooks is blowing up.
yeah, the Facebooks, they had somebody pouring out a 40, and there were some interesting comments on there. And
There's so many comments.
someone said, that trailer will always be traced back to you. And I'm like, no way. And they said, don't underestimate the CSI oil analysis team. So
It had a lot of posts. I was trying to figure it out.
yes, we did. And I was going to throw it in there, but our listener feedback
so
has
sold.
one very lengthy, very important thing. So I didn't, I think
Okay,
I
good.
added one
Good. I
comment
won't.
into
well-
that one. But speaking of Porsche decisions,
Ours is pretty much done.
Yeah.
I'm still working on getting the readiness monitors to set for emissions, which I have an appointment in 9 days. So hopefully we can get that done. So I'm going to start driving it as often as I can and I've got the ridiculous list of the things you're supposed to do to get the Porsche to do the readiness monitors. And it's like
AB
start it, let it idle
1212?
for 2.5 minutes, and then drive at 20 to 30 miles an hour for a certain amount of time, and then a different speed for a different amount of time. I mean, every manufacturer has this one. I went through this bullshit with the Yukon years ago. The Yukon had to be over a certain temperature to start, so that made it impossible to do in the winter, literally impossible. So this one, let's see if we can get it to work.
Oh, we did multiple drives and we're like, did we do it? No.
No.
You're like, gotta go do it again. It was awful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever. If it doesn't get inspected, it doesn't get inspected. The ticket is cheaper than the inspection. So
Good. Good. I
that's
just don't.
that is risk analysis. That
If
is
we-
intelligent principle applied.
If we were ever to get pulled over, I feel like that would just be an add-on and not really great. So for speeding or some
oh yes,
traffic
agreed.
traffic violation. If you have a
Yeah.
violation and you have a no registration or the no inspection, that just adds on to it. So I feel like
And, yeah.
kind of like an
Oh, well.
exponential.
I don't know. I
type
feel
thing.
like you guys are both charming enough to go, we understand, but
we're
it
so
has to get up
charming.
above a certain temperature and it's winter. I promise we're going to do it in the spring.
We
They
could
I've
if
been
might,
unless
they
you're
might let you
I've
go.
really been trying.
unless we get caught going 120 down the highway, then you're like,
Oh,
oh,
then you're just getting arrested and they don't care about your inspection at that point.
I could cry. It wouldn't
It's
matter.
true. Yeah. So anyway, but I've driven it to work. Everything's fine. All good. But we didn't
Yay.
drive it for a few days because it snowed and today it rained like biblical amounts.
I
So
think
yeah.
there's an arc out front.
Yeah.
It
That's
is
how much.
all across the country. You
Is
know,
it?
folks are coming to Las Vegas for this exercise. We've got 6 units that cannot get here on time because of weather.
Yep.
And
happening.
also because apparently most 727 Max 8s have the potential to turn into convertibles. So it's causing all kinds of
Yep.
snarly stuff. I'm on a text group with my
great view,
Okies. We're
though.
all talking about the
I wanted a
snow in
window seat, but that was a
Oklahoma.
little much.
Yeah, yeah.
Aw.
Pay extra for that.
I want to sit in the sky. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, and I do want to point out for all the Android users that 2 iPhones were sucked out of that plane and both of them are still working.
Thanks. I'm sure they say they'll have some kind of rebuttal because they always do. Keep going.
Yep. Oh, so with the Porsche done, I've been working on the Civic a fair amount because, yes, we had the cage done, but done isn't done. When we had it done up at Garage Heroes, it was all the major bars were bent and tacked in place, but there's all the other stuff they still have to do, like welding base plates, which is the worst part of any cage ever. Welding the thick to thin, and it's the stuff that has the undercoating and it burns, it smells bad, and it fills the garage with smoke. It's terrible. So stuff like that. Also adding a footwell intrusion bar on the driver's side. First time I've done one of those, but that's all prepared now. Also
Sounds like a fun
adding
idea.
jack points that come right off the cage and go straight through the floor in the middle of the car so that you can just jack on that one spot and then be able to put it on jack stands in the normal places and stuff like that. So that's all. I'm just prepping all kinds of things
That's cool.
to get it all actually race ready at some point. But right now I'm out of welding gas. So I've been doing all these little prep things, like all the metal's like ready to go, just needs to get welded in when I get some more welding gas, which will happen tomorrow. Had to fix the snowblower because I hadn't really done anything to it. This snowblower is a 1961 Ariens that's like, it's like a tank, but when I got it, it had the Tecumseh motor on it, was a little weak. So I replaced that with, of course, a Harbor Freight Predator 212 engine, as
Which
one
is
does.
the LS of
right
small
on.
engines.
Oh yeah,
But it
literally
bolted. It had
on.
the bolt holes for where we needed to put it on the
Yeah.
snowblower.
The bolt hole's identical. The crank pulley, the shaft diameter, identical. The location of the crank in relation in space to where it is identical.
How did you
They,
know
like,
that?
I didn't. I
Oh.
just said I'll make this
He had a
work.
welder. He was going to make it work
No, it
anyway.
didn't
Yeah.
I'll make it work, and
that.
I put it on and said,
Wow.
"How about that?" So
Now, and my favorite thing about this is that basically now has turned it into a murder snowblower. This is the subject of
Oh,
a
it's a
future
murder.
Stephen
Oh,
King novel.
Absolutely.
it's always been a murder snowblower because it's made in 1961. It does not have safety features like snowblowers of today. You have to hold like 3 different things, like one in your teeth to get it to go anywhere, right? This is the opposite. Like you have to squeeze the handle to get it to stop. If you can just put it in gear with everything going in murder mode, and it'll just
It
go
was
away.
literally just run away from you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll just go and do what it needs to do. So watch out, children and pets. And
especially when it gets
keys. So we put keys through it once. We
Yes,
found those
we
later.
did.
Yeah.
We did. It
Yeah.
shot them. All my keys shot them right out all
Yep.
over the lawn. It was very sad.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
but it's even more of a challenge when it gets clogged because the snow that we've had was really packing. It was very wet, and so it would just clog the whole hole. And then you're like,
Don't
well,
put your hand in there.
Yeah, what
Don't
am I
put your
going to
hand in
stick in
there.
this snowblower that might just
Yeah.
eat me? Actually,
Yeah. But there's a couple of things that weren't. Basically, all the rubber hoses had deteriorated and completely fallen apart, so it was just spewing fuel everywhere. So I had to take that all apart and fix those and fix it.
A flaming murder snowblower.
Yeah, really.
kind
At that
of.
point, it was. But anyway, now it all works great. So fine. So more Civic work until that's done. Until it's like race ready. And then
And we cleaned the basement.
we did clean the basement. Wow.
I didn't know your
Guys, it's
basement
just-
ever got dirty.
It does.
It just, like each box of decorations and, just bringing box of stuff down there and old food and just, we just
I'll just
didn't
put
wanna
this here
start a
for
new
now. I want to do something
Yeah.
else. And yeah,
And you're like, it could go on the shelves, but then they have to be organized. And so it's just one of those organization, do it together, get it done. Now it's beautiful. I know, not so interesting, but one of those satisfying things when you get them done, it just feels good.
Ballad.
Yep. And then when it was snowing, I was doing a whole bunch of work on the computer. So stuff for the library, stuff for work, just get it done because it's probably not a great time to go outside. So we'll just sitting home. It was all good.
All right.
All right. That was a nice time.
Now, in 1972, Roger Penske, Les Richter, and Mike Phelps built the American motorsports equivalent of an all-star game. The International Race of Champions, or for those of a certain age, IROC series, pitted 12 invited drivers in identically prepared race cars to set up all by a single team of mechanics. And the idea was a test of pure driver ability with champions across many, many disciplines. Initially ran in Porsche 911s, with Mark Donohue being the first ever to win the IROC series championship in 1974. Then in 1975, the series switched to their signature Camaros until 1989, including a run of cars that were called the IROC Z. And right now, Tom's got a sudden urge to throw on a gold chain and wear a wife beater. Then they had 4 years of Dodge Daytonas, 2 years of Dodge Avengers. Yeah. And until its demise in 2006, they ran Trans Am bodies. Now, why are we giving you this history lesson? Because IROC is back. Not the car, the series. On Monday, retired NASCAR crew chief Ray Everham and former Michael Waltrip Racing Team co-owner Rob Kaufman announced the formation of IROC Holdings Limited Liability Corporation, and they have acquired the rights to the International Race of Champions brand. They are looking to host an IROC branded event this year with historic cars from the series, and then they will, quote, explore future opportunities. And a link to that Road and Track article by Fred Smith is in our notes.
Can I say a few funny things that have nothing to do with this story, but I did not read it ahead of time? I thought this was a story about Michael Phelps, not Mike Phelps. And then he said 1972, and I was like, I'm not sure he was alive. So I just felt like I needed to tell you what is in my brain.
And his head would probably stick out of an IROC Camaro, like out of the T-tops. He's too tall.
Also, very admittedly, I didn't know what IROC stood for, so this history lesson was very helpful. This story was very impactful. Thank you very much for giving me this.
It doesn't just stand for Irique of Cologne.
I didn't know. I never bothered. I never bothered to ask. So Michael Phelps is in the IROC. Okay, I understand. Let's move on.
I feel like I'm going to go look, like do the AI thing where it makes photos, and I'm just going to say Michael Phelps in an IROC and see what it comes up with.
Yep. I think so. That's going to be the show intro, like the picture on the YouTube, right? Yep. Yep.
Sorry, and my brain is not necessarily for everybody. Okay, go ahead, keep going.
All right, hey, you've all heard of porch pirates. What about driveway pirates? Colin Woodward at Jalopnik introduced us to the new concept. Amanda Broadshoe, a Florida resident naturally, had someone steal her whole driveway. She put her house up for sale, having some renovations done. The trouble started when several contractors came by to measure over the course of a few days. Some questions from one of them indicated an imposter posing as the landlord contacted them about a driveway replacement. When the mystical Andre was confronted about proof that he owned the house, he stopped responding. Amanda smelled something amiss, contacted local PD. Andre then claimed to have given the wrong address. However, she came home to find her driveway completely gone. The contractor that had removed the driveway fell for the classic overpayment scam, which anyone who has ever sold anything on the internet has seen. In this version, scammers look for houses that are listed for sale online, pretend to own it, and get a contractor to give them a quote for some work. Then they'll send a check for more than the agreed on amount, expecting a refund. You know how this goes. Fortunately, there are still some nice people, even in Florida. And after the story originally aired, a local business volunteered to replace her driveway for free. That's nice.
Wow. Who does that? What?
The people that pulled it up probably are the ones who should have replaced it.
Probably, but if they fell for that, they're probably just some local tiny 2-employee operation that does driveways, and they were probably screwed as well.
Dumb.
I'm impressed that they did it all in one day. That's a hardworking guy. You got scammed, but you're a hardworking guy.
But also, how did nobody see it? Well, I guess maybe people thought that
if you pull up somewhere. When you look, like, you can, if you show up somewhere wearing a high-vis vest and have a clipboard and a white pickup truck. You can do almost anything.
Yeah.
And everyone's be like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't know.
Yep. Unless you have nosy neighbors, maybe then they'll call you, but maybe not. Okay.
Mhm.
Mick Ackers at Las Vegas Review Journal tells us that the Formula One Vegas Grand Prix pit building now has a permanent name. The 300,000 square foot building is now called the Grand Prix Plaza. How unique. It's located on the northeast corner of Harmon Avenue and Koval Lane. It was built by Liberty Media for the 2023 inaugural Las Vegas Grand Prix at only a cost of $500 million on the building, which includes purchasing the land and constructing the facility. Last year, Grand Prix CEO Renee Wilm said that there's already events booking for the space for 2024, including convention-oriented events and driving schools.
It looks so much better than what was there.
I want to call it something different. You should name it something.
Yeah.
more interesting. Yeah. Maybe they'll change it. Okay. So you know those times when you should be doing something and then you think like, just go somewhere else. I should be doing something else other than social media, where you can endlessly scroll and not feel bad about yourself when you are done scrolling. Racing Junk is the answer. So I got lost in the classified section where they have every brand you can imagine, and you can click on it, and most of them have at least one car. So I was like, Etzel's, what do they have? And then I just click on like, I don't even know that I've heard of this brand, and then I click on those. But really, the fun place is the road racing section. So that had they also, as you dive into the road racing section, they have the 24 hours of lemon section, which is awesome. Posted 2 days ago. I'm not even sure if it's available. It was an '05 Focus manual, disc brakes, and a cage, which if you click through some of the pictures, that cage looks like it has a couple extra bars, but not sure. Maybe, hopefully that's okay. It's in Merrill, Wisconsin, listed for $7,500. Looks pretty flat. The panels look pretty flat, and that Lumina, it looks like it might be still available. Chevy Lumina, I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. It's up
We
for
did. I think
2,000
we've talked
bucks.
about this Focus before too, because it's been up since
Did
July.
we?
Yeah.
Oh,
But it's still a good deal. You're still right.
Still
It's
there.
a great deal.
So
Yeah.
get ready for race season. Buy that car. Not that car,
Avoid
but
what we're
just
going
buy
to
a
talk
car.
about in the main topic by getting something that's already done.
Yeah. Sounds great. Cool. Racing Junk. Go there.
And while it's still there, apparently Pod 23 still good. Try Pod 24. We don't know, but get that membership on there. That helps you get like see people that are looking at your stuff. You get to see ads early. You get away from like the pop-up advertisements, all that kind of stuff. It's like super, super cheap. It's worth it. Just do it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Let's do payback time. On the YouTube, Tyler said, "To the point of being brake pads is my new favorite descriptor of overcooked meat."
That was a pretty good one. Now, it's probably fine. I appreciated our Color Me Bad reference from the last episode. And he even like had us singing the song, which is now stuck in my head. Thanks for that one. And then also on our little video short that we put on the Insta and on the YouTube about Chrissy almost dying, Jay Plaz said, "I live in a state of mild asphyxiation. The pretty colors are what do it for me."
I didn't get colors,
Oh,
unfortunately.
you got chipped.
I yes.
Yep. Michael K pontificated a bit as a comment on YouTube. Now, this is lengthy, but it's good. Stay with us. This is about road trips. So, says, slightly different, but my yearly long motorcycle road trip is a single-minded that could appeal to folks that own, for instance, a fully sorted NSX, Boxster, or Miata. It's this 100% great roads focused, or as I call it, quote, all the curves I need to last a year packed into 2 weeks, end quote. Should you choose to embark on such a quest, a lot of what is mentioned here is valid, but the focus changes. The driving is the destination. So he gives a tip here that Butler Maps, which is curated maps of roads rated for various things, with the best having a paragraph of explanations. That's Butler Maps. Great Motorcycle Roads is on YouTube. And that state tourism boards of West Virginia, Arkansas, and Tennessee excel at motorcycle/sports car tourism. And those are all exceptional ways to pick must-drive roads. After that, you loosely organize how to get there and connect them together. He continues, I can burn down 700 miles of dead, boring interstate in any given day, motorcycle or car. Wow. Iron button on you, Michael. On this trip, it's only acceptable to get you to the roads you want to connect together. Once there, plan for 250 to 350 miles days at most. If you Google and Maps it, you're looking at 7 to 8 hours of actual road time. And if it's that curvy, there are going to be multiple beautiful sites you want to pull off for. On a 14-day trip, for instance, he says mine are normally longer, never plan more than 11 days. You have to do laundry at some point. You're going to find things you want to do or rabbits to chase. Sometimes things are closed. Sometimes you have minor maintenance emergencies. So I'm a planner by nature, but I try my best to only make 3 reservations max for those 14 days.
Oh, that's
But
not
have
enough.
options, right? Have options you think you want to stay at with phone numbers already in your phone for every day. Massive swaths of these great driving roads have no cell service, and it's not uncommon to have 100 miles between reliable fuel supplies, and many places that are 60 miles from a grocery store, liquor store, or even your evening motel. So if your range is 200 miles in a tank, fill up every time you can. Buy the evening's refreshments an hour or two before your planned stop for the night, and download your map before you leave in the morning. These are all great tips,
That
Michael.
was
Thank you.
great. Thanks so
That's why
much
I
for
read the whole
that.
thing. I first read it. It's like, well, how am I going to
Oh,
summarize that? And I said, no, I'm
no,
not going to. This is good
no,
stuff.
that's great. Thanks for
I want to
that.
do my best to get those links. But if I don't have those links in the show notes or you have a specific question, get a hold of us. We'll put you in touch with Michael because he's a great guy. And yeah, get him talking about road trips and cars and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not hard. He'll share all that stuff with you.
Wow. Good. Should have had him on. But thanks for that.
Mhm.
Okay. Main topic.
Main topic time.
Burnout is not just something you do in a Dairy Queen parking lot.
But
in an
it is
IROC
something
Z.
you should absolutely do at a Dairy Queen parking lot.
If you have an
With-
IROC Z, don't you have to? Isn't that like
With Michael Phelps.
obligatory?
Oh, totally. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Michael Phelps will get high and sit in the passenger seat.
Well, and if you've got an IROC and you're at the Dairy Queen and you don't do a burnout, the communist have won.
Oh, wow.
It's true.
Or your
Yeah.
OptiSpark fail. Either way.
Yeah. So we've all been there. We've all had it. We're going to talk a bit about it and what we can do about it. So, because
And
everyone's
I
got the
do want to jump in
Yeah,
here,
you
and I
go.
apologize for being
You
rude.
take over. It's all
We
you.
no, I don't want to take over. We actually did cover this topic. We'd forgotten it's like 3 years ago, and we were talking about burnout, and it was inspired by a guest who was so burned out they actually couldn't even make it onto the show. So we talked about coming back to this topic, and I feel like it's valid.
Well, we had a recent listener suggestion that we
Yes.
handle this topic
Yep.
again. So, and we specifically didn't go back and look at our notes from last time because we wanted to have a
Correct.
different perspective on this instead of rehashing
Correct.
what we may have talked about before. Because we've all definitely had those days. I don't want to go to the garage. I'm not excited about this race. I feel like it's a burden, all of this stuff. And it's not, we're going to focus it on the racing stuff, but it can be anything in your life, frankly.
Mhm. Right. Lead
Um,
in. Go ahead.
Right. So let's, I think mostly it's a feeling when you've got burnout. And sure, it comes on in things like that you're just not excited to do this thing that you used to be excited to do. You're not motivated to go onto it. You can't spend the time on it that you used to do. You feel bad about the whole situation. It's just it turns you off, turns you down, and just takes your energy away, which can lead to there's guilt and depression, anxiety, and all those irritability, all those wonderful things that are no good.
Yes. And depression and anxiety sounds like it's extreme. But if you're sitting there like, and you start feeling, oh God, I should have had this done by now, da 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 da, go, I'm so worthless on this, or you're starting to, tense up because you've got to go in the garage because you've got to get this done. I'm betting more than a few of our listeners that are kind of nod their head and be like, yeah, I've been there.
Mhm.
You know, it stops. The thing that brought you joy is now bringing you pain. That's always
Yeah.
terrible.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's usually the same things that set up for it.
Yes.
And you've got too much on your plate. Like you've taken on too much, and you did because you were excited about it. And when you're excited about it, yes. And yes, I'll do that. Oh yeah, so I'll sure I can prep 3 cars for that race. Sounds great. No problem. Right?
Yes.
Or everyone will help me. I'll have lots of help. Everyone will be there all the time to fixing and helping.
Or
with the
when your
cars.
helpers are also burnout. That doesn't help either.
Yeah. And I want to stay on this topic. we've noticed over the years that certainly there are a lot of neurodivergent people that are attracted to this hobby. And why wouldn't they be? It's in a different setting, it's interesting challenges, it's problems, it's noisy, it's fast, it's loud. You meet all kinds of different people.
Let your freak flag fly whenever you want to.
You
Yep.
really, really do. So, as a late in life diagnosed neurodivergent person, I want to throw in there too is a lot of us love to overcommit because we have a ton of great ideas and we're seeking out that dopamine rush and novelty and the validation from others. And that is just an area I have done that so many times personally and, in this race thing. You're like, oh, I can absolutely do all this and it'll be great. And everyone will think I'm the coolest. And you're setting yourself up for failure on that one.
So back to racing, I think one of the couple of signs of burnout that I have had, and I've been pretty vocal about it, especially when we were trying to go for the win in the Civic for a while. The one thing is that the pressure to perform or pressure I put on myself was a problem. And that manifested in me in nightmares. So I had nightmares a lot. So I'm one of those people that remember all of my dreams, probably dream most nights. But I was having like serious nightmares, and that's not great. So I think that's where I found one thing, and I also for the pressure to perform for trying to go for the win for so long was that I forgot why I like the sport. So I like this sport because I like to race. That's great. It's fun to get in the car and fun to race against your friends. But I also really like hanging out with people, occasionally drinking too much, seeing friends, spending time with them, sometimes staying up all night, and then you end up just laughing hysterically and will never forget those nights. But when you are racing for the win, I'm in bed at 9 o'clock. I'm up early. I am making breakfast. I am hydrated. I am not hanging out with friends. So when you do that consistently over and over again, that's one aspect of racing of where I lost. I got sad and didn't necessarily realize it until we won, and then it was over, and then we figured out burnout, and then I realized I was burnout. So that's my anecdotal nightmares is where mine comes in.
They mentioned one of the physical side effects is headaches, and yeah, and if it's on your mind
Yeah,
all
I
the
think
time,
that's below her.
absolutely nightmares. I feel bad that I was a part of that. That's horrible. No, I'm legitimately sorry. Yeah, no one deserves that. Not from your joyful hobby.
My husband did not feel that way, so I guess it's okay.
Well, it's because your husband was burned out. He's trying to get the car ready. He's trying to win.
I guess. I
That
guess.
too. Yeah, I mean, I had it when feel like I had it with the Rolls Royce because then we were bringing 3 cars to the track.
Really,
The boat,
four,
the
because the
Civic,
Rolls
and the
was two
Rolls.
cars.
Sure. And I was the only one that knew anything about the Rolls. Like it was such a weird thing. And it was just too much. Like I didn't have fun that weekend trying to keep all of them going. And sure, I wasn't the only one doing all the work, but um I felt the responsibility for it and had done a lot of work to get up to that point and just hadn't done anything else. And I felt that too in later years when I felt like I was doing a lot of work for other people to drive the car that weren't working on it or putting in any real significant effort, even if some people could and some people couldn't. Uh, and that was it got to the point where I wasn't interested in doing all this work and sacrificing other things in my life just for that. And that took away the fun of it to the point where I'm just not going to keep doing that anymore.
Yeah. And I want to come back to the second point, but it sounds like for both of you guys, it was a struggle to recognizing limits and boundaries. Just you have to go, this isn't going to happen. I cannot accept this additional responsibility.
Took us a while to get there. And to
Mm-hmm.
follow through. Chris has been saying for years, I'm not going to do this. And then we get roped into there's another car. Oh, there's an IOE. There's, the IOE didn't win. So we got to keep going and keep bringing more cars. And so I think plus the other cars, right? And then I feel like we also have an allegiance to a lot of our arrive and drives. So saying no to bringing extra cars means you can't race with your additional friends, and some of them are relying on you to provide said car. Um, so I
And
think
the
it's
other people I want to see, I want to hang out, I want to race with people, but if the only way I can do it is to overextend myself and make it no fun for me, then I have to, then it's not the fun that it should be, and pull that back in. So yeah.
And
So then, all right,
that falls
and
under, it falls under a lot of, your neurodivergence types tend to be people pleasers because, well, if you're anything like me, you spent an entire, your entire life in school going, oh, if you just applied yourself. So you're trying extra hard and you're doing things
I
that
mean,
normally
what
you
does your
wouldn't.
arm say? So I feel like
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. But you want to be a good teammate. You want to be a good car owner. You want your crew and your friends to be happy and satisfied, and you want their experience to be a positive one. And it's very easy to start sacrificing your own in the pursuit of that one. Mm-hmm.
so then what are we going to do about this? We've all been there, figured out how we got there. So now what are our next steps?
Well, and it's an effective one, but it's a sledgehammer level of effect. But all right, you know what? I'm done. I'm taking a break from this, and I'm just going to walk away from it. And it's effective, but ideally, if we talk through this and we want to get you guys' feedback on this one, we can give you, if you know the warning signs and you have some things you can apply before you get to this point, you don't have to completely break away from it and walk away from it. But if you find yourself where you're having headaches or bad dreams, or you're feeling guilty because you're not out working on the car, then yeah, maybe it's time. Just nope.
well,
2024, I'm not going to go race.
I did that after we won. We went to CMP and I was like, I'm not racing. Everybody's like, I'm sure we can get your wristband. I don't want to race. I didn't bring a suit. I didn't go to race. So yeah, I mean, and maybe it's just a race, and our races are, if you do just East Coast and that kind of thing, you have time in between. So taking a race off may not be a bad thing, or just going to one less race. And I think some of our friends are actually doing that, or, changing it up, changing up the schedule a little bit, go to a different race instead of the race that you always, that's upcoming, that's the next one, go somewhere else. And it might not be till the end of the year, gives you time to take it off. So break doesn't mean I'm getting rid of the car today. I think break can be, I just don't want to go to the next one.
Small or long break. They're different breaks, but break
right
altogether.
Yeah.
Is definitely one thing.
I like this next one you put in there, the tactics change. And I told the story, the last race of 23, the Bernal dads. Now they're good drivers, they're good builders, and they are always at the pointy end. And fate or themselves, they tend to, finish in the top 5 after stressing out about it all weekend. In the last race, they showed up with the Dodgy van, completely different approach. Nope. We're not trying for the win. We're not going to do this. We are going for a different idea. And it had been an idea that they've been gestating for a while. Never seen
many
those guys.
of us had. I'm so happy they actually did it.
Yes.
That's great.
And I don't think I've ever seen those guys laughing that hard and just chilling out on it. You could almost see them falling back in love with it.
It's hard to do that though.
It is.
Especially if you have the itch for a win. It's very hard to say, well, we've been close, or we're trying, or this car just has to win. And because as we said, this is a goal of ours. I can't even imagine just go to the next race and be like, screw it. I mean, if you're out, you're out, right? Like then you have a good time. But if you're going,
we did that for a while after the Civic one, and especially after they got crashed, and we were like, casual racing with friends. And we totally just took too many drivers, and we're like, yeah, whatever, we'll just do the best we can, and that's fine. We'll have fun. And we did that for a while, and that was great. And then we had a time where we only had 3 drivers, and we were 9 minutes away from winning B, and said, damn it. All right. We all got the itch again and started trying again.
Well, we've got another good friend, and I don't know if I want to sell them out because they're building, they've been building fascinating, great award-winning cars. And they're like, yeah, it'd be great. Go fast and win. I'm so tired of just having to back off up rolling art. I actually want to start dicing it up. And they have spent a significant amount of time changing their tactic to building a car that, by their own admission, is cheaty as fuck. They don't care.
Yeah, well, that's it. You find something new that's working for you. Like I've definitely seen people do that, both that the other ways. They've
Yeah.
been winning in the pressure and the great IOE. Let's do the fun cars and the other way too. So
There's also still there's pressure with the, I'm sorry, I didn't know if that's where you were going with this, but there's pressure to win IOE too.
there is, but there's also
sure.
some people that just say, we're just going to bring this car. It's a ridiculous car. We know that.
Yeah.
You know, these are people that are fueling with like lawnmower cans at that point. Just like, no, I'm just having a good time. Doesn't matter. Like stop for
No.
breakfast, you know, or like stop for lunch kind of people.
I
And that's
literally
totally
don't
great.
remember when we did that.
We
Like,
didn't really, but
The Civic when it was a dustbuster. Like it was so long ago
Yeah.
when we may have done something like that it's not even on our radar.
I do remember you guys kind of like a handful of races where it was, mental, don't no, just stop. Casual racing with friends. Pittsburgh, when it was pouring down rain, and we Hobbs's Beamer and the TR7, and I still managed to get a black flag, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, also when conditions are that bad, just
Yeah.
and you're not trying to win, because I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure weren't trying to win for anything on that one.
Jeff Hanka, he comes through Las Vegas every now and again. We had him on the show a little while back, and he always says new teams come to him a lot for advice, especially where he lives. He's like the Lemons guy, or if you have a Fiero, he's the guy. And his thing is,
yeah.
get the right car. And then his other big thing is get the right people. And his third one is don't make your own problems. But he talked
advice.
about how he had to move some personnel around, and there are people that, he likes, he hangs out with, he'll help them out, but he doesn't want them on his car. Cause it's not enhancing his experience, and it was contributing to, he had some early burnout coming into a race this year. And he's like, I almost walked away from it. I had to make some changes.
So what do we mean by change views is the next one we have listed here. What do you mean by
That's
change
similar to
views?
changing tactics or it's, I guess, changing goals. Is it? What is your goal? Is your goal? If your goal is I have to pressure to win, or like, pressure for whatever it might be. If it's not working for you, it's not working for you. Pick a different goal. Say my goal this time is to talk to 10 new people while at the race,
I like
for
this view.
example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or even if
my
you're-
goal is to have the best, like to bring the most
Dish
cool
at the
dish for potluck.
potluck.
Right, exactly. That was where I was going.
Yeah.
Were you?
Right.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love this. Yeah, that's
Actually it.
That's super fun.
Or if you're trying to stay, you want to still be, I'm a pointy end person and I'm going to be a pointy end person. Okay. Well, change your views of, okay, we're not going to try and win overall. We're going to try and cut our pit stops consistently below this, safe, clean pit stops, or we're going to see if we can't run, this chunk of laps in this period of time, or we're going to up our lap count. Just bring in something. You can keep working towards that goal, but it gives you something different to focus on that still keeps you moving in a forward direction and gives you something measurable if you're that person. That's how I took it. I'm sorry. If that was,
No, sorry. Was just trying to figure out how this was different. That's good. I like that. Fine. Different.
And then Chrissy, I think you touched on this one, but go to a different track. And you didn't hear me say it, but you're about to hear me say it. Maybe a different series. Even if you go to a different series, you're like, wow, this is awful. I can't wait to go back to this other thing that I ran. If nothing else, it still gives you a different perspective.
You could just try we've had great fun HPDE weekends with friends.
It's just exactly what I was
if
gonna
everyone
say. Yep.
can bring a car that's trackable, and you all get in, hopefully one or two different run groups, and just go have fun. And you get to have basically, because fun time at track with friends is the reason a lot of us race now. So can you do it in a way that's less stressful? And sometimes we've been like, yeah, we're just not going out this session.
Yeah.
or,
Too hot. Car's a little hot, running a little rough. End of the day, not really feeling it. Had some good runs, ended on a good note. Let's go. Yeah, absolutely.
But that kind of weekend also can maybe help you work through a problem your car has, or a problem you have, that's making it a less pleasant weekend. So that's the kind of change of pace, change of venue.
I think
And I will
that's
always
huge.
endorse grid life. If if I'm not racing, it's not the same thing. Grid life's a party. It's a track day, and it's you can get as competitive or not competitive as you want to be, but you'll still have that kind of same level of fun energy around in a grid life.
Grid life is not always a party. It is not a party. We went to Grid Life at NJMP expecting a party, and we were literally the only people out there. We were the only people that stayed. So no, I'm just setting this so that your expectation is not that it is not always a party. I think they have different parties. My expectation was that it was going to be a party, and we saw some people, and we ended up sitting with the Fishers in a parking lot that was full of bugs, and it was dark. So
the Grid Life festivals are always a party. You're right.
You.
They have opened up to different stuff.
I mean, you should bring your own party, but don't expect that everything is like a lemons race when you go to a Grid Life event. Is what I'm trying to make sure.
No.
I didn't know that. And then when we showed up, we were like, where's the party? I took a video, of going through the garage, and there was like somebody's like boombox playing in the one background, and there was not a single soul around. So not every Grid Life is party, but you can make your own party. We do NASA HPDs with whatever's Mid-Atlantic or Great Lakes or one of those that are around here. And so I think that's a great idea, because then you are still racing a car, you're still having fun, you're still on track, you're like, I'm not racing for anything other than getting better, and like, why not? Yeah. I love it.
I've got to stop us for 1 second to share my screen. I've been playing with AI image creators.
Oh, he found the Michael Phelps in an IROC.
So I got to.
I'm glad I
share
shared
screen.
that. I mean, what are you gonna do? Make fun of me? You already do that.
Oh, no way! Yeah. No, this is brilliant. This is a theme right here.
That's brilliant.
Oh.
This is what I got. For Camaro, IROC Z doing burnouts in a Dairy Queen parking lot with an Olympic swimmer.
I love how it's an all-wheel drive Camaro Targa that is doing a burnout. This is epic.
And it's running Dairy Weed.
Okay. I'm gonna need that image either in the drive or text, and that is fantastic. Yes. You are correct. We have just found the theme for this episode.
You are welcome.
Awesome. Yeah. In general, Bing AI image creators are pretty hilarious.
They really are. Someone posted up. I was depressed that was missing Road America, so they're like, "What?" And they had something about the Road America Lemons race, and it was so funny. It was really, really good. And that chuckle right there is an excellent segue to this last point. If we're talking about it and you are understanding or you're empathizing and you're like, holy crap, I'm right there. Or I remember this happened to me. Other people have dealt with this. This is not unique. And the problem with some of these burnout feelings, especially anxiety and depression, is you start thinking you're the only one. What's the matter with me? Why is everyone else having fun? Clearly I am broken. No, you're not. This is what we're talking about. And the best thing is you start verbalizing to your support network, your gearhead friends, your other people that probably aren't even involved in racing. Hey, I am feeling this. And they might offer you that change of pace, that change of venue, that change of perspective, or just the assurance that there's nothing wrong with you. You just burning yourself out.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And they might be the ones who are, because they're the ones involved, they might say, no, don't worry about it. Like, don't stress about making sure I have a seat. Or, oh, I didn't know you were so behind. I'll make time to come up and help. Or they might say, oh, it's a shame. No matter what, you've got an answer on all those things. What's going to help?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
That's a classic one.
We've got some tips to recover.
Yeah.
So,
okay. I know I'm burned out, or I'm getting burned out, and I don't want to hate this. What do I do, Chris?
Well, there's lots of things you can do. We talked about some of the things to start out, but recognizing you have the problem is always the step in your problem, no matter what your problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have this ridiculous moon trailer. This is not a good idea. Right?
I must get car that I truly care about off of Moon Trailer because it is
Right.
rotting away.
Right.
Yes.
That's you recognize that's a problem. Okay, great. So then what? All right, take care of yourself and try to figure it out. Like there's always a way out of all these things. You just have to take the steps to do it.
Your physical and mental state, in order to maintain stress, whether that stress is coming from your job, from your family, from a situation that you are going through right now, you still have to have your body and your brain. And if your hobby is bringing you this stress, you cannot sacrifice that in order to keep going on the hobby, because now the hobby is doing the opposite of what it's supposed to do, which is giving you an escape. So if you've got an exercise regime or you've got your Sunday, I go to church regime, whatever your thing is that keeps you grounded and normal, you can't sacrifice that for the hobby. You've got to take care of your mental and physical self.
I feel like all of this is speaking to me of like, well, I just kept having the nightmares. I just kept doing that. I mean, I feel like, does anybody
Hey, eventually we
say-
got our goal. We did it.
But
Agreed.
yes, but yeah, and this is so, I'm going to bring it back over to the neurodivergent thing, and we in the world of normies, we mask our mental, emotional, and physical behaviors that highlight that we are different, because you've spent your whole life being told you're the problem, you're too fidgety, you're too spacey, you're too flaky, you can't do anything like that. So you're always trying to fit in. And it's a huge tendency of the neurodivergent, but it is not unique to the neurodivergent. People tend to suffer in silence and just keep doing the same thing because they're convinced that they're the problem, and they're not. I'm genuinely feeling bad that you kept having nightmares. I'm sorry. I really am.
Thank you for your concern.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about myself and my own burnout when I'm listening to these tips to recover, that I'm like, I just kept being stressed about it. That's just what I did.
You're not the only one that does that.
I know, I know.
Yeah. If you don't change anything, nothing changes.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yep.
right. Build breaks. Good.
You have to have a little bit of a break somehow. You've already established you can't keep going with what you're doing. So stop. Okay. And then determine what your plan is. And then when are you going to stop and check again? See, is this working? Okay, I'm doing something new. Is this actually working or not? And it can be your own check-in, but maybe you check in with a trusted friend who you talk to about this, and they can give you a different opinion on it too.
Right? You're going to keep hearing this from me, even though I cut my hair. Mindfulness. All right. You'll go into the garage, or you go into your shop, or you're doing something and you're just on autopilot. This is supposed to bring you joy. Now, you might be doing an unpleasant thing in order to enable the pleasant thing, but you still have to realize why you're there. And it's the easiest way to start just being aware and being mindful of your actions is to focus on your breathing. Count to 5 as you breathe in, count to 5 as you breathe out. I'm a weirdo, so I say things like, I am clearing this workbench off in order to organize my garage so that I can work on the 914, which I want to do. And I'm aware of what I'm doing, and it keeps me motivated through what could be an unpleasant task, because I am clearing a path to the thing that I want to do.
I like that idea. I also think there's probably value, going back to care for yourself, to have mindfulness, because I think mindfulness is a good thing. I don't have mental's hair, but I think that it is a good practice. I think away from a garage and a race car or cars is probably also a good idea. So if you are trying to be better at caring for your mental and physical space, I think mindfulness, maybe not being near the triggers of what is causing you those pains, may be a better avenue. And in addition to, yes, focus on your breathing, but I think sitting in a dimly lit room, focused on your breathing away from your race cars, may be also helpful.
Oh yes. My new mindfulness thing is, I'm not every day, but most days I go and get in my pool. And
That's
I
a lovely
listen.
place to be mindful.
Mhm.
Yes. Well, it provides an immediate like kind of shock to my system.
Yeah.
But then I just kind of focus on the world around me. I hear the cars, I hear the birds, I hear my dogs crying to get let back in because they want to go eat breakfast. But it's the whole idea is you're not just moving through the world, but you are now a part of the world.
Yep. Okay. Enough hippie.
Never enough hippie crap.
Oh, okay.
uh I the establish a daily routine. We had Pat Carity on here, Angry P, who built his LS swapped Corvair. Now it took him a number of years to do it with 2 kids and a wife and other hobbies that have nothing to do with cars in a single car garage where he also had to maintain, the family minivan. And he just had a daily routine where he did a little bit every day. And that daily routine isn't just about you working on the car or you working on the driver. It is all encompassing. I'm in the morning. I do this because it puts me in a good place. I'm working on this other aspect of my life. I'm going to have dinner with my family or my friends or people that I care about, and we're not going to think about race cars. And then, on these days, I can get this much time in the garage. You just have that routine. Know that there's going to be extenuating factors and things that affect it, but just having that schedule to deviate from kind of starts to give you a better idea of the sense of scope and how far you can get in one time without trying to overtask yourself.
I love this next one. I'm all about this. Setting alarms to signal when it's time to stop working. I think it's a great thing. I think one idea is when I'm done with this task, but I often find myself just like, well, I could just do a little bit more or just start this other thing or just keep going. And I think, I think setting an alarm makes you realize the time that's passing. So it's not like, wow, I spent, 8 hours in the garage. You're like, oh, well, I have time to stop. So I
Mhm.
think this is a good one.
I have to do this. It's the hyper focus, just absolute loss of the passage of time when you're working on something, especially if it's something you like or something you enjoy doing. And when you've got like a whole day where this is going to be great, I've got this Saturday and I can spend 8 hours in the garage to do this whole thing. That's great. But you're like trying to do something on a school night or a weeknight, and all of a sudden it's 3 a.m. And sure, you got a bunch done, but now you're having a negative impact on every other factor that makes you good at this one thing. Um, I actually am terrible, especially during the summer. I won't drink water. So I have to set an alarm, go drink some water, go do these
Oh,
things. I've gotten much better about it, especially if I'm driving at the racetrack. I have constant reminders on my phone because I'm so immersed and I'm having such a great time that I'll neglect my physical health. And that's not a time you want to be in the car.
you obviously
And
aren't standing next to me long enough because
because you say, go drink some water.
no, because I'm just doing that all the time. So
Yes.
yes.
But I have to be very, very careful about my time in the garage. And I set alarms that just says clean up. And wherever I am, I just wipe down the tools, clean my hands, set some stuff out. If I need to write some things down, because I know it's going to be a couple days before I come back into it, I do that. But I don't need to be in the garage till 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm too old for that crap. I have a job. I have to go do stuff the next day.
That leads on to the next topic very well. You write things down on your to-do list. Make a to-do list. We have a whiteboard in our garage. You probably have some kind of paper, cardboard, whatever, the back
Pizza
of your
box.
garage door. Yeah, whatever. Write down what you need to do. Make a list. And the problem is that sometimes with your list are just like engine, roll cage. You're just like your list, the items on your list are like big things or like, tape the tail lights, right?
I
So
only have
there's
so much
sometimes
room on the list. So
sure. And it's not like you're gonna make a little like and your little carrots that say and the halo bar and A bars and B and right. You're not gonna say all that, but sometimes with the list.
I totally do. And
Good.
sometimes it's not even about the going back and looking at the list. Just writing it down just puts it in order in my brain.
Got it. Okay. I mean, you do it either way. Helping to write it down at least gives you a goal in mind, even if it's the whiteboard is full. Then that might show you that you actually do really need help. Okay. Go ahead. You guys
Cool.
establish, or Chris establish this next one.
I did.
No, I would like you to answer this question
Oh,
because that is from
great.
the listener that suggested this.
Yeah, I said, how do you recover from Iron Manning multiple cars? I'm the only one that fixes it. So go back to the start of this discussion, sir, and that's where you start. You just can't do it. You're going to have to prioritize and pick out the thing that is bringing you the most happiness and is making this all worth it for you. You can only do so much, and if you try to do too much, it's not going to work. So, yeah.
I would say if you have the right team, or at least some of the right team, you're gonna have to dole some of that stuff out. One of the neat things that I like that you guys do is you just throw the checklist on the front windshield of the car. These things
Well,
need
this
to
is
get done.
like, well, what about building, preparing, bringing?
Oh, yeah.
You're
Yeah,
just,
that's the hard part, is
you're
I'd much-
expected to bring cars, fix
Yes,
cars.
and when people expect you, oh, well, you're the one building. Oh, good, it's going to be all done when he gets to the track, right? Yeah, I know it's not. It's like, what's going on?
And you may have to have some frank and honest conversations. Guys, I can't get this done. These are our options. We scale it to this, we scale it to this, or you guys show up here and we do these things. These are my suggestions. If you got into this because you wanted to make your team happy and you like and you trust your team, I think the people can surprise you if you throw out there to your organization. Not everyone, some people will disappoint you, but you can throw out there, this has to happen. I can't get it done. Who can help? And it's neat when people you don't expect to step up.
What if you don't want the help from the people that are expecting you to bring the car? You don't want their help.
You might need to find new people.
Well, yeah, that's it.
If you don't want the help from the people that you're trying to help, ugh. That's not a reflection on if they're good or bad people, but there's some sort of weird dynamic there that is.
Well, sometimes people are interested in helping, but they're not the best wrench. So you're going to end up just doing all of it yourself.
Well,
That
there's
kind of-
always something they can
learn.
do.
Yeah.
There's something they can do. Or is there any other task you can push off to them that you would normally have to do? Even if they might only do it half as well as you, it's still getting done. And a project getting done half as quickly is better than one you have to do yourself, usually, unless you have to redo it, but that's fine. Or maybe push off something else. Like if you usually prep the food for the race too, or something like that, can you just hand that off? So, hey, I cannot handle this right now. Can you make all that food for me? Or can you take over that project? Can you take ownership of this part of this?
Mm-hmm.
And you might be surprised. Someone might have just been waiting. Sometimes people who do all the work just kind of make it so that everyone else doesn't really know what to do, and so they don't really ask anymore. Because when they ask if they can help, you say no, and then so they stop until you ask, and they say, "Oh yeah, sure, absolutely."
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%. This is how I know when I'm out of rhythm with you guys, is I show up and I don't know what to do, so I end up pestering both of you. What needs to be done right now? Nothing mental. Leave me alone. I'm drinking. Go away.
But asking is good.
Yeah.
That's how you keep coming back and helping out your team.
And then the flip side is sometimes you just see stuff that needs to be done and just start doing it.
Well, some things anybody can do. Like
great.
there's trash on the floor. I can pick that up.
Mm-hmm.
The car's windshield's obviously dirty. I can solve that problem.
Yeah.
Clean the tools. Put them in a pile.
Yep. Oh, this bucket of oil is still here from earlier. I got to go find where the waste oil station is, and I can go dump that out.
Mm-hmm.
The dishes haven't been done from this morning. Can go handle that.
How we got a dishwashing ferry, actually.
Right. Exactly. It's totally why.
I
Because
know.
Steve noticed I was done. It's something he could do, so he starts doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And it's appreciated.
Yep. All right. Well, hopefully
Okay.
that was helpful.
Yeah. All right.
And now, how do we avoid this in the future? Well, now that you've been through it once, you have an idea of what it's like. So you kind of get a feeling it's coming. It's like, when you wake up that morning and you get a sore throat starting in the back, you say, you know what, I'm getting a cold. Definitely getting sick.
Yeah.
Same symptoms, kind of thing applies. You say, I'm just not excited to go do this job. Maybe it's a really terrible job, and you know that, but in general, like I'm just not excited about prepping this car. I'm not excited about going this race. I'm not excited about doing whatever the case may be. All right, well, hang on. Slow your roll for a second. Is this a temporary feeling or not? But acknowledging it, checking in with yourself, follow your plan for a bit, but then you have your plan to be, all right, this is not what I'm expecting. What do I need to do differently here?
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Um, yeah, which I typed out the learn your version of, I know how bad this felt last time I dealt with this, and I need to do a better job of maintaining that balance. If there's something you have to do it for every event or most events, and you absolutely hate it, and it just clouds everything else you're doing as part of the project, either farm that out or find a completely different approach to it. I will
Oh,
let
and
you
then
take
just
that last one, Chrissy.
yeah, then just keep talking about it. So understanding that you have I have a problem and I want to talk to people about it and try to come up with a solution that works for everybody. Take a little bit of less pressure off. Try to ask for help. That's not easy for a lot of people. So just making sure that, or at least you may not even have to ask, but talk to people. And if you understand what the problems are, then maybe somebody will be able to help jump in and farm out some tasks without you even asking for help. All right. I
Yep.
think we talked
The
about the
rest of
rest
this
of the things.
is very hasty editing of me copying initially what Chris wrote. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Just know that it looks different for everybody, but it absolutely it does affect you physically. It does affect you mentally. It does affect you emotionally. And it's bad when it's your job or your family situation, but it's, I would call it almost tragic when it's the thing that's supposed to give you the relief from the other aspects that are causing you stress. So don't let the thing you love become the thing you hate. Try and manage all of that sort of thing. And if you see this happening to your friends, step in, at least talk to them about it. Sometimes it's literally just that simple. Hey man, here, sit down, drink this. I'm going to go handle this problem over here.
I feel like I know some people like this. I feel like I already know people that have a lot of these symptoms and problems, and I don't know that they are handling it. So there's that. Not my problem to fix, but yes. If they don't want to hear about it, if you have identified some that they're in burnout mode, they may not want to hear it.
Well, if you're involved with them, you can say, what can I do to help you? You've obviously got a lot going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Good place to start.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
So going back to the whole thing, the neurodivergent, we are attracted to change and challenge and novelty and dopamine and all that kind of stuff. And we love things that are different and fast and moving around. And with the exception of actually flying during a large exercise, I have never found anything as stimulating and as challenging as an endurance race. And the joke going around a lot of the paddock right now is, oh, we can smell our own. We know when there's another ADHD person kicking around or someone who's just touching the spectrum, all that other kind of stuff. And it's fun. We recognize each other, but you look after into that sort of thing. I have actually never been bored at a racetrack because of all of these different things. And what's even great about it is it has built-in kind of culpability, checks and balances on how it goes, but it is demanding and it is stressful even when I'm having fun. And that's for everybody, not just people who think like I think. So just meter yourself and have your hobby. And we've all seen this rotating litany of people that come into it. They are all about it. And then a year or 6 months later, you never see them again. They started out really, really hard, but they just started out so hard. And maybe they found another venture, or maybe they just sit and they're angry and they're stewing and they hate the notion of it. And if you want to leave, that's cool. But if you have to leave for your own health, it's a tragedy. So take care of yourself. Don't get in over your head.
Yep.
And if you do, recognize it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Cool.
Good show.
Yes.
Yep.
Ooh. This is pertinent to my entrance. This just a tip, because I woke up today to a foot of sunshine. It was just awful.
Hey, but it was cold. That's not great. Winter in the desert. Oh, it's
Yeah.
cold there.
Yep.
Okay, is
Yes.
anybody going to give me an intro, or are we just
Yeah,
doing?
I'm sorry,
just do this?
it's-
I'm
it's
waiting on
time
you.
for
Come on.
Just the tip.
I'm like, I was like, I could just keep going, but nobody's giving me an intro here. So, hi. Okay. So, we got some snow for the first time in 3 years, I think, maybe 2. We got a little bit of snow, but we didn't have to shovel it a whole lot. Anyway, on the East Coast, we got snow. We forgot how to shovel. So, I'm going to give you some ideas on how to make sure that you are not hurting yourself, because our snow was very wet by the time we shoveled it on Sunday. So, don't forget to bend with your knees and not with lifting with your back. Lifting with your legs bent, stand with your feet hip width apart. Make sure that you're balanced. Just making sure that you are not twisting. That is the easiest thing to do when you're doing this. And same thing with raking leaves, which we're kind of over with now. But when you have an action that you're just not realizing where your body is compared to where your legs are, and it's really just easy. Feels like it's an easier thing to just twist, and that's just not going to be the way to go. Make sure you're not picking up too much snow at once, especially since this snow that we were shoveling was very heavy. And yeah, just don't be dumb. Think about where your body's going to be, because it sucks the next day when you're like, I definitely shoveled wrong or moved wrong or did something wrong. It's just dumb. So even if you think it's faster, just watch where your body ergonomics is, where your back is compared to where your legs are. Thanks.
Any idea what we're doing next week?
Cool.
It's going to be something amazing.
Totes. No pressure.
We'll ask ChatGPT image search to come up with something.
Great.
I mean, some of the stuff I've got now, I'll show you guys when we're done. It's hilarious. So,
That sounds great.
yep. All right. Hey, thanks for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. Hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, and not being burned out, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. And go to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and give us that 5-star rating. I don't care what you thought, 5 stars, and tell us why. Questions, comments, show ideas, thoughts, emotional outbursts. There's all kinds of places to find us. Facebook, Everyone Racers, everyone.racers@gmail.com. Pretty much all the other internet things at one of those two. Usually an easy way. Text Mental. He loves pictures of your junk at 484-243-0455. And until next week, keep the shiny side up. Even if you're a little burned out, then just go laugh at the Microsoft Bing AI picture generator and see what you get. It's hilarious. And keep those wheels down.